My name is Tina. At 20 years old, I returned home for vacation from university this past summer, and what a journey it has been. What transpired during that period was truly remarkable. It was a choice made in the excitement of the moment. A spark of inspiration ignited within me. What if I could astonish my parents as I dragged my suitcase along the well-known streets of my quaint hometown, a surge of excitement rushing through me, a secret I had kept to myself. I approached, and the thrill of their surprise intensified my eagerness as I flung open the front door. As I approached the door, my heart raced with anticipation, eager for warm embraces and astonished expressions. From my parents, instead, an eerie silence enveloped me. To his dismay, the house remained quiet and desolate, a poignant reminder that their return was still awaited, just as the weight of disappointment began to settle in my chest as a familiar voice pierced through the silence, calling my name. Name echoed with an urgency that sent a shiver down my spine. It was Henry, my younger brother, who had just crossed on the threshold of adulthood at 18. He stood a bit taller than I did, his broad frame casting a shadow that hinted at the man he was becoming. Smile radiating warmth that could illuminate even the darkest corners of any room. Henry, I cried out, letting my. As our arms wrapped around each other, bags tumbled to the ground, a testament to the effortless, instinctive nature of our greeting. Yet, I found myself unable to. I tried to shake off the impression of his remarkable maturity as Henry finally stepped away, and I closed the door behind him, releasing a heavy sigh that resonated in the stillness. The quiet enveloped the house like a dense fog, and with each, in that fleeting instant, the deep realization that I had truly returned home began to permeate my bones after the arduous journey back from university, maneuvering through the swarms of bustling buses and a cacophony of bustling train stations ignited a profound desire to cast aside my weariness. Within me, I made my way directly to the shower, anticipation building with each step as the scalding water cascaded over my skin, shedding the layers of dust and fatigue amassed from my journey in that instant. After weeks of tension, a wave of tranquility began to envelop me. The semester had been a relentless storm, a tempest of assignments, impending deadlines, and the relentless rhythm of university life enveloped me. Yet in that moment, as I stood there, beneath the cascade of water, I felt my shoulders sag, and at last, I let go of a. With a long-held breath, I stepped out of the shower and slipped into a flowing summer dress that swirled around me like a soft caress. The material fell delicately against her skin, a whisper of comfort that spoke of effortless ease. It was the kind of outfit that enveloped her like a gentle embrace, ideal for those instances when she craved comfort free from the burden of expectation. With every quiet, as I glided towards my room, the door creaked open, revealing the embrace of warmth and familiarity that enveloped me. Like a treasured recollection, the old posters adhered to the walls, echoes of a bygone era, a peculiar sound that coursed icy tendrils down my back. Existence unfolded as the bed stayed impeccably arranged, embellished with my beloved patterned sheets enveloped me in a soothing embrace of familiarity, as though I had stepped across a threshold into a bygone existence, one that resonated with the murmurs of my former self. Yet a shadow of unease lingered at the periphery of my thoughts, woven into the relentless grind of school and the unyielding demands of. In the midst of my work, I discovered myself adrift, my personal life slipping through my fingers like sand. The intimacy I once took for granted had faded, leaving behind a profound ache, an emptiness in its absence. Indeed, there had been ephemeral encounters, moments that flickered like the delicate dance of candle flames, yet remained insubstantial, devoid of any true significance. Chances to break free and seek refuge were scarce in a confined dormitory, where fragile walls murmured hidden tales. Curious roommates hovered just outside the door while I fell onto my bed, the thought haunting me, refusing to fade away. Like a shadow in the night, it transcended a simple yearning for companionship. It became a journey of rediscovery, a profound exploration, reconnection with the essence of who I truly was. Awakening to the whispers of my own needs once more, I seized the phone, my fingers gliding aimlessly across the screen, until, before I knew it, my mind ventured into uncharted territory. As I reclined against the soft pillows, my fingers glided gently over my skin, sparking a delicate thrill that flowed through. It was a deep-seated instinct, a quest for understanding that called me onwards. Compelling and undeniable, my fingers glided over my arms, tracing the delicate curve of my collarbone, caressing the soft fabric of my dress. I released a quivering breath, yielding to the present, permitting myself to experience, to re-establish connection, and to relax after a relentless storm raged outside as I navigated my thoughts, but the sound of a knock at my door shattered my concentration, pulling me from my reverie. In the recesses of my mind, my heart raced, leaping into my throat as I nearly flung my phone slipped from the shadows as Henry's voice resonated, capturing the attention from across the room. With a swift motion, I smoothed my dress, a wave of anticipation swelling within me as I gestured for him to enter, taking a deep breath. Henry grasped the doorknob, his heart racing as he paused for a fleeting moment before crossing the threshold into the unknown. Loomed large, his thoughts a tempest swirling just beneath the surface. His expression carried the heavy burden of seriousness that was out of character for him, and he hesitated in the doorway, an uncomfortable silence expanding between us until he approached the edge of my bed, settling down with a restless hand raking through his hair, as if in search of the right words. Hung in the air, slicing through the tension that gnawed at me as I contemplated his intentions. The gravity of his visit suggested something deeper, something significant, something that commanded my focus. Henry perched at the edge of my bed, his expression laden with weight. With unvoiced reflections, I sensed the heaviness of his discomfort lingering in the atmosphere. He stayed quiet, fidgeting restlessly. His expression revealed an inner turmoil as he grappled with the elusive words to start. I remained, quietly granting him the space to untangle the chaotic thoughts that filled his. At last, the thoughts tumbled forth from his lips, though they stumbled initially, hesitant and unsure, but soon they unleashed a torrent of narrative that swept everything along with it. There was an unsettling quality to my brother's gaze, a hint that something was amiss. He started to recount the tale of his girlfriend, a bond one knew had been intricately interlaced with the essence of his existence. For a while, the tales I had encountered crafted an image of pure joy, a young couple swept away in a tempest of untroubled delight. Love where each moment shimmered with joy and thrill, yet beneath that seemingly flawless exterior lay a shadowy reality lingered, unveiling that their joy was but a facade. Henry shared with me the chaos that a tempest of discord had been gathering between them, sparked by both trivial matters and weighty concerns, regardless of the circumstances. Despite his relentless efforts, a shadow of despair hovered nearby, murmuring that nothing he could never bring her the happiness she sought. She would erupt with frustration over the issues he faced. Blissfully oblivious to the turmoil around him, each encounter drained him completely as he finally laid bare his emotions for her. Uncertainty loomed over him like a dark cloud, leaving him to question whether he could endure this tumultuous storm path any longer. The relationship began to burden him, shifting from a wellspring of joy into an unyielding. The weight he could no longer dismiss became evident as he spoke, and I was captivated by the remarkable change that had unfolded since our last encounter. A change so profound rippled through my thoughts. He had transformed into someone entirely new, completely transformed from the boy I once playfully mocked and nurtured. He now exuded a serene and profound maturity. Within him lay a profound depth that had previously escaped my notice, now crashing over me like a wave of realization. Crashed over me, unveiling the extent of his transformation. It wasn't solely his physical stature that captivated me. The broader shoulders and chiseled features were impossible to overlook. However, there was something deeper, a maturity that echoed in every look and movement. He carried himself with a sense of renewed assurance, a remarkable transformation from the doubt that once loomed over him. I hung on his every word, while my thoughts twirled in harmony with his. The voice and the shocking realization that had just emerged within me about him. He exuded an irresistible charm, a powerful presence that captivated the gaze and ensnared it, evoking an eerie and disquieting revelation. Witness him transformed in this unexpected way, as he began to reveal himself, peeling back layers I had never seen before. Witnessed before he articulated the unyielding exhaustion that accompanied his role as the eternal mender, the one who carried the weight of apologies lingered heavily upon him, even as he grappled with the sense of being unjustly burdened by the necessity to make amends. He admitted that the thought of ending things with her lingered in his mind, yet he wrestled with the uncertainty of whether he truly had the courage to follow through. Was a distant dream as I longed to reach out to him, to whisper words that could perhaps lighten his burden, yet the weight of hesitation held me back. Silence enveloped me, a weighty presence that suggested no words could ever capture its essence, so I pursued an instinct that surged within me. I leaned in, enveloping him in my embrace. It was a hug that resonated with deep emotion, a bond that surpassed the boundaries of simple courtesy or habit, a moment of clarity that transformed everything. It was palpable, a quiet vow that resonated deeply, articulating my comprehension and steadfast support for him as we sat together. I wrapped him in my embrace. Palpable tension lingered in the atmosphere, as though the very essence of reality had shifted, enveloping us as he melted into my embrace. A wave of warmth enveloped us, and in that moment, I became acutely aware of each subtle touch of his hair grazed my cheek, a gentle whisper of warmth, as the delicate fragrance of his cologne wrapped around me. I sensed his breathing slow, a rhythmic calm enveloping us. My hand instinctively found its way to his hair, sweeping it back with a tender touch. It was a gentle caress beneath my fingertips grazed his skin, and before I realized it, I was tracing the contour of his jaw, gliding down to the warmth of his neck. What appeared to be a simple act was imbued with an undeniable intensity, crackling with unspoken implications enveloped him as he surrendered to the moment, leaning into my touch with a subtle ease. My mind raced, a tempest of thoughts swirling within. Conflicting thoughts clashed within me, each one compelling me towards a distinct path. Uncertainty enveloped me as I stood there, unable to grasp why I couldn't find the strength to halt or distance myself. Perhaps it was the unwavering presence he provided, or the intensity of the emotions swirling around us, regardless of their nature, left me unable to resist, fully enveloped in their grasp. In that moment of realization, I discovered the tranquility of sharing a space with him as we sat side by side, engaged in a profound dialogue about existence and the journey of maturation. It was a choice fraught with recklessness, the kind that reveals itself in an instant, before uncertainty can take hold. He remained motionless for a moment, astonished, flickering across his face, yet his hand instinctively sought the place I had directed it. A tangible tension lingered in the air. The atmosphere was thick with a blend of uncertainty and intrigue, swirling around him with every touch. Was warm, hesitant at first, as if ensnared in a delicate dance between the urge to. As he moved forward, the apprehension of overstaying his welcome began to fade, and he gradually began to sketch with a gentle touch. He traced circles with his fingertips along my thigh, each movement inching upward with a tantalizing intent, causing my heart to race wildly, each beat resonating in my ears as a wave of heat surged through my skin, igniting every nerve. With anticipation and uncertainty loomed over me, yet an invisible force compelled me to continue down this path, unable to halt my progress. The unfolding journey, every nerve in my body ignited, awakening to his touch in a manner I hadn't experienced in years. Time appeared to elongate infinitely as we stayed intertwined, his hand gliding gently while I melted against him, my face nestled in the warmth of his neck. My body moved as if under a spell, shifting and arching beneath. His touch mirrored every delicate shift he executed, perfectly attuned to the rising tension. Reached its zenith, the sudden creak of the front door swinging open sliced. In the quiet, I flinched as though burned, my hands instinctively moving to rearrange the uninvited guest who defies expectations. Clothed himself in a whirlwind of activity, his cheeks burning with shame as he staggered back, frantically attempting to establish a chasm between us before I could even grasp the air. My parents' voices echoed, resonating through. The house buzzed with a whirlwind of excitement, worry, and relief intertwining in the air. I summoned every ounce of strength to rise and confront them, my thoughts swirling in a chaotic tempest, born from the events that had just unfolded, enveloping me completely. In a passionate embrace, their voices swirled like a tempest of inquiries, each demanding answers. I offered a murky explanation for not alerting them to my sudden arrival, murmuring something about the desire to create a surprise. They compelled me to uphold an illusion of normalcy as we congregated around the dinner table, where laughter and conversation flowed, yet my mind remained ensnared by that haunting moment in my room. The memory of his touch lingered like an electric pulse, sending shivers coursing through my body. Kindling a blaze I couldn't quench, my thoughts surged with the notion that he too might be reflecting the same thing. The rest of the evening faded into a haze of doubt as I shared words and, amidst the laughter with my parents, a distant storm brewed within me, drawing my thoughts far away from the moment we shared, my mind adrift. I found myself spiraling back to that moment with him, the heat of his touch, the way my body ignited in response, the crackling energy that enveloped us, that lingered in the atmosphere surrounding us, wrapping me in an intensity that was impossible to dispel, regardless of how hard I tried. Fiercely, I wrestled with it, even as I lay in bed that night, sleep eluding me. Through my fingers like sand, elusive and taunting, I writhed in my restless bed, an unending tempest swirling through each instant, every nuance, akin to a tireless reel playing on loop. The intensity of his gaze lingered as we parted, the gentle caress of his fingers igniting a warmth between us, an electric proximity that felt almost tangible. The weight of it all was overwhelming, a tempest of thoughts and emotions surged like waves against the shores of her mind, while my thoughts raced with questions, each one more overwhelming than the one before. Thoughts swirled in his head, the weight of it all pressing down on him just as it did on me. It wasn't precisely uncomfortable, but it was unmistakably distinct, a sensation that hung in the air, playfully teasing at the edges of familiarity. An unspoken truth lingered between us, weighty and palpable, the weight we both acknowledged, yet found ourselves unable to articulate. Each glance exchanged was imbued with the electric tension of what lay beneath the surface, leaving us adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Was my gaze. Found myself gradually gravitating towards him, captivated by nuances I had previously missed until this moment. The way his jawline tightened with focus, the strands of hair that gently caressed his forehead, and the fluidity of his movements carried an enigmatic rhythm, a secret dance that revealed itself anew each time our paths converged, stirring my heart. Would beat relentlessly, and I found myself caught in a tempest of reflections on each ephemeral moment we experienced together. Did he perceive the intensity of my gaze as it lingered on him? Did he feel the same irresistible pull, or was he simply oblivious, striving to move forward as though nothing had ever occurred? It unfolded, and despite my relentless efforts to steer my thoughts elsewhere, nothing could shatter the oppressive hold of my mind. With my parents preoccupied for the better part of the day, I found myself ensnared in a web of thoughts, each one a concealed reality starts to emerge. In the shadows of my room, I became ensnared in a ceaseless cycle, darker and more consuming than before, reliving that moment repeatedly, each time imagining a different conclusion, a divergent path that might have altered the course of everything. What if the door had stayed resolutely closed? What if we had persevered despite the odds? Unyielding and relentless, the ceaseless barrage of questions stirred a profound unease within me as the evening shadows lengthened. Stretched across the room, I found myself enveloped in the soft glow of my phone, mindlessly scrolling through an endless stream of feeds. Suddenly, my dad entered the living room, his expression grave. He told me that he and my mum needed to leave for As the night unfolded, their errands drew them away from the warm embrace of home. He extended a sincere apology for leaving me behind in that moment. In solitude, I offered him reassurance, declaring that all was well as soon as they took their leave. An unsettling silence enveloped the house. It was just him and me, and the silence enveloped us, amplifying each delicate sound that ventured to intrude. The stillness, I fought to anchor my thoughts, converged to a singular point, adrift within the pages of a book, entranced by the dancing images on the screen, anything to flee into a realm beyond. Yet my thoughts persistently drifted back to the embrace of warmth. From the warmth of his hand upon my leg to the exhilarating thrill of our closeness. The instant the idea ignited, it ensnared my mind with an unwavering hold, determined not to be dismissed. In the midst of my internal struggle, I battled the relentless waves of my own thoughts, striving to find clarity amidst the tumult. Yet, the temptation was ever present, overpowering. It dragged me deeper into its grasp. The echoes of yesterday lingered in my mind, sharp and undeniable, while the enticing possibility of yielding to my desires called to me with an undeniable charm. The hour was late. Shadows encroached as I grappled with my thoughts, and finally, I arrived at a decision that would alter the course of everything. The house rested enveloped in silence and shadows, the tranquilly interrupted only by the soft rhythm of Henry's steady breathing filtered through the fragile walls. My heart raced in my chest as with a quiet grace, I made my way to his room, my bare feet gliding soundlessly over the polished hardwood floor as I gently pushed the door open. A chilling sight greeted me. There he lay, sprawled on his side, his back exposed. With intention, he averted his gaze, exuding a calm demeanor, his breath measured and motionless under the soft glow of the nightlight. I lingered for a heartbeat, my eyes fixed on him, struggling under the burden of my choice, pondering whether I could genuinely make that jump in that ephemeral instant of uncertainty. Vanished, and my feet propelled me forward, irresistibly drawn to his bed. Without a second thought, I quietly took a seat next to him, enveloped in tranquility as we savored a serene moment together. Secrets unveiled, a truth hidden in shadows. The bed emitted a gentle creak beneath my weight, while the warmth emanating from his form wrapped around me, pulling me further into the. In that moment, I was utterly still, entranced by the rhythmic flow of his breath and the rhythmic rise and fall of his chest. Yet as time elongated, my breaths became increasingly rapid. With a desperate gasp, I inhaled, the tension thickening around me, compelled by an irresistible force as I extended my hand. My fingertips grazed his arm, a hesitant journey into uncharted territory. It wasn't long before he began to stir. His breathing rhythm shifted, a subtle signal of awakening, as he turned onto his back, enveloped in confusion, clouded his eyes, and the instant he became aware of my presence, a flicker of realization ignited within him. His astonishment was palpable, his eyes widened, revealing the truth in an instant. I interrupted him before he could speak, and with a purposeful gesture, we both sat in silence, contemplating the moment. Everything that had transpired and the extent of our transformation caused him to pause, his muscles tightening for a brief instant. Beneath my fingertips, he surrendered, granting me the reins to steer us onwards in the blink of an eye. Everything transformed into a tempest, my senses igniting as every detail emerged, sharp and vivid. Surrounding me, the warmth of his hand ignited a spark, his fingers lingering for a fleeting moment, as though contemplating the weight of the moment's importance before they commenced their dance with growing confidence, a testament to his blossoming comfort. My heart thundered in my chest, a wild rhythm that echoed within me. As a shiver coursed through my skin, igniting every nerve, I was utterly surrounded by the fervor of the instant, ensnared in its hold. It throbbed with an unrefined vulnerability, an unrefined essence, resonated with a profound authenticity. Perfection was elusive. It was inconsequential. What held significance was the connection that united them, an unvoiced connection that anchored us, a magnetic force that effortlessly pulled our forms together, intertwining with seamless grace. In the midst of the unfamiliarity, it felt as though an unseen barrier had been crossed, sealing our destiny and departing without a route for retreat in a moment that was both charged and unavoidable. I found myself leaning closer to him, erasing the distance that had once separated us. The movement lingered, stretching on, an eternity encapsulated in fleeting seconds. My fingers grazed his shoulder. The spark ignited between us in an instant, and I leaned in, capturing the moment as our lips met in a kiss that carried the burden of unvoiced sentiments. The kiss sparked like a spark infused with the electric tension that had been brewing between us for what seemed like an eternity. With a delicate yet assertive touch, I guided him backward, allowing him to settle on the couch beneath my weight. The indisputable evidence I could no longer overlook. I pressed my palms against his shoulders, sensing him surrender to the embrace of the cushions as he reached out to comfort me with a reassuring gesture, grounding me in the moment with his presence. Our conversation reminded me of how close we had once been as siblings, and how life had gradually pulled us in different directions. Before the intoxicating thrill of proximity, where every inch of our bodies was nearly intertwined, there was a palpable tension in the air. The kiss deepened with each passing moment, stretching into eternity, slow and deliberate, as if time itself seemed to pause as his hands encircled my waist, a gentle yet resolute grasp. As though he endeavored to anchor himself amidst the tempest of feelings enveloping us, my hands naturally gravitated towards their destination. My thumbs glided over the rough stubble of his jawline, the heat radiating between us. Radiating from his skin, the coarse texture of his stubble beneath my fingertips sparked a tempest of tingles coursing through my stomach as I tilted my head, searching for the ideal angle for the kiss. His lips parted just enough to send a thrill course through me, urging me to press closer, lost in the moment. The pressure of my body melded with his, and I seized the moment, dictating the tempo and flow, leading to an undeniable connection. Power, a force that intertwined with a profound intimacy, the connection fierce and all-consuming. His heartbeat thudded against me, a steady rhythm echoed the tension that hung in the air, his hands firm on my waist, as though he dreaded the instant I might vanish. Our breaths deepened, each inhalation and exhalation reflecting one another. The cadence of our lips danced together, a harmonious blend. Occasionally, I would pull away just slightly, allowing myself to absorb the depth of his half-lit gaze. The delicate rise of his lips and the manner in which his chest rose and fell, as though he were gasping for breath, was nothing short of mesmerizing, and in those fleeting moments when he gazed at me as though I were the very axis of his existence, my heart surged with a fervor that, on the brink of eruption, I leaned in once more, my lips grazing his jawline, gliding gently over his cheek, a tantalizing tease. The corner of his mouth before finally capturing his lips once more. Each kiss was a universe unto itself, ephemeral yet profound, and playful, while others extended into infinity, as if we were savoring the depths of the well of time. His hands moved with an enticing urgency, gliding up my back and tracing down to my thighs. His touch lingered, unhurried. It felt purposeful, as though he was granting me the reins, trusting in my capacity to mold the outcome. The atmosphere, his restraint only heightened the blaze of my desire. Hovering above him felt instinctual, as if this was exactly where fate had led me. His body responded to mine in a manner that sent shivers cascading down my spine. Every delicate movement sparked a flame inside me as he endeavored to close the distance between us, even in our closeness. Proximity ignited a thrilling rush within me, a paradox of strength and vulnerability as I stood there, the master of my own fate. A tale of deception wrapped in romance. My own destiny, completely exposed to him. If only he could comprehend the profoundness of my longing for the myriad moments I had imagined him beneath me as the charged anticipation between us at last erupted into something undeniable. His hands tightened around my waist, and the intensity of his gaze brimmed with raw emotion. Vulnerability sparked a profound yearning within me. It went beyond simple attraction or chemistry. The intense longing the urge to break down the barriers that had long kept us apart surged within me. But just as the intensity between us reached the zenith of reality surged forth like an unstoppable tide as the evening unfolded. I pondered the extent of our transformations and the stark contrast of our current reality, now that we had matured and were racing forward. What lay beyond this moment? This was the moment that would change everything. I yearned to delve deeper, to transcend the limits of soft kisses and tender caresses. An exhilarating energy surged. As he moved, a spark ignited within me, and then I hesitated for a brief moment. His voice was low yet resolute as he inquired, "Do you have anything?" The expression on his face was a masterpiece, a canvas of initial emotions. Confusion washed over him as he took in my words, soon giving way to a gradual, enlightening spark of understanding. His cheeks ignited with a delicate blush as he offered me a shy smile. Yet, there was a captivating smile as he confessed, a hint of embarrassment coloring his voice. "I never imagined it, never realized we would find ourselves here." I locked my gaze on him. A tempest of disbelief and exasperation churned within me. At just 18, he discovered himself caught in the intricate dance of youthful affection, steering through the exhilarating yet turbulent currents of a bond with. His girlfriend was there, yet not a single condom could be found in his room. A frustrated laugh escaped my lips as I shook my head. His head hung low as he fumbled through his words, trying to defend himself, muttering something about how he had never anticipated this. Arriving tonight, it was both delightful and completely maddening. "Are you serious, Henry?" I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. My heart raced as I struggled to preserve the lively ambience surrounding us. What kind of boyfriend is caught off guard when it What holds the greatest significance? He simply shrugged, an expression of helplessness intertwined with a flicker of apology crossing his features. I guess I'm not as prepared as I thought, he mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper, tinged with uncertainty. With a heavy sigh, I leaned my head against his chest, seeking solace in the steady rhythm of his heartbeat as I grappled with the ambiguity of my next steps. The reality was that I was reluctant to stop. I found myself utterly powerless to resist. The intensity of my feelings for him surged within me like a tempest I could no longer contain. Disregarding the notion of departing, with everything left in a precarious state, was a truth I found utterly impossible to accept. In that crucial moment, I made a decision to alter my path, grasping the opportunity with a fresh sense of resolve, as if he were not present. Ready, so be it. I would etch this night into his memory for all time as I descended, the treachery that pierced my soul beyond my wildest thoughts. My body gliding against his, journeying from his hips to his thighs, the moment his breath caught a wave of confidence surged through me, igniting a fire within him. Hands that had once comfortably rested on my waist shifted ever so slightly. An uncertain dance unfolded, the atmosphere around us heavy with a tangible tension that indicated everything was on the brink of transformation. I settled between his legs, gazing upward as my fingers danced lightly, grazing his knees before gliding up the curves of his thighs. His body tensed. There was a palpable anticipation hanging in the air, as if he were bracing himself for the unknown that lay ahead. His breath hitched once. It was more a telltale sign of the inner turmoil he faced. I could perceive the effort he exerted. He struggled to maintain his composure, yet his body betrayed him with every subtle reaction. His fingers sank into the couch, softened beneath my touch, his thighs coiled with tension, and his chest rose and fell. With deep, erratic breaths, a small smile played upon my lips as I leaned in, to press my lips against his once again, this time lower, sensing the tautness in his form intensified with each intentional action I took. His reaction was completely captivating. I reveled in the power I held over him, the way my mere presence and a gentle touch could send him. As I spiraled into vulnerability, a playful smile graced my lips while I pressed another kiss against his stomach. My hands delving further into the uncharted, his skin emanated a comforting warmth beneath. My fingertips danced across his skin, and with each delicate movement, another shiver coursed through him, witnessing his unraveling in such a profound manner. Fully aware that I was the spark igniting this chaos sent shivers down my spine as I pressed on. I sensed him, gradually releasing his uncertainties. His form sank into the couch, yielding to the warm embrace of solace as he relinquished. The tension that had held him captive for so long began to dissolve as he swayed with me, a gentle motion at first, his hips gliding in rhythm. His hands found their way back to my shoulders, searching for something solid to hold onto with each labored breath he took, accompanied by the quiet murmurs escaping his lips, ignited a. Within me burned a fierce resolve, while his sensitivity left me utterly in awe. Every delicate shift seemed to amplify his response. His body flowed with a serene grace. Urgency pulled me further into his desires, unveiling what he yearned for in a manner that sparked a fire within me. Had never anticipated the realization that he was completely at my mercy, which heightened the thrill of the moment, intensifying every sensation as he let out a low, barely audible sound. A discernible groan escaped, igniting a surge of heat within me. I paused for a moment, a clash of emotions, a shattering loss, and a truth that lingers. My gaze fixed on him, his head tilted back, lips slightly parted. He closed his eyes, fully surrendering to the intoxicating moment that enveloped him. He appeared utterly captivating, so completely vulnerable and open, sparking an intense yearning within me to continue. When it all came to an end, a tumultuous whirlwind of emotions surged within me. The adrenaline that had once surged through my veins began to wane, yet the electric pulse in my chest remained steadfast. With a heavy heart, I rose from the couch, the weight of recent events pressing down on me, weighing heavily upon me. A dense fog of doubt enveloped my thoughts, casting me into a murky realm of uncertainty, a mere fragment of my being ensnared in the fervor of the moment. The sheer vitality it possessed ignited within me. It felt as though I was encased in a bubble, a realm where nothing else bore significance, where every piece fell into place seamlessly. Yet here I was, enveloped in the stillness that followed, grappling with a deep sense of uncertainty enveloped me as I cast a fleeting glance over my shoulder, my heart racing at the sight of him sprawled on the couch, an image that lingered in the air, a haunting echo. His chest heaved rhythmically, each rise and fell into a desperate attempt to reclaim the breath that eluded him. Even with his eyes shut, a serene expression graced his features. His face emanated a profound sense of tranquility, as though he had just stepped out of an extraordinary, life-altering experience. His journey left his body still vibrating with the lingering effects, a telltale sign I couldn't ignore it as I cleared my throat, an effort to break the palpable tension I struggled to keep casual facade, even as my mind swirled with a tempest of thoughts. So you've crossed that line, haven't you? As he opened his eyes, they locked onto mine, revealing a swirling blend of curiosity and the bewilderment that sent a chill coursing through me in that brief moment when his demeanor shifted, ensnared in a fragile equilibrium of levity and the gravity of the inquiry, saturating the atmosphere with. In that moment of uncertainty, he nodded, a decision forged in the depths of his being. No, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. With unwavering resolve, I arched an eyebrow, my gaze locked onto him as I endeavored to unravel the mystery before me. The intricate tapestry of information lay before me, and in an instant, a surge of disbelief enveloped me. As I departed, I found myself momentarily stunned. There he stood before me, a figure I had conjured. In my thoughts, he emerged as a figure distinct from my expectations, a presence unlike any I had envisioned. It felt surreal, as if the truth of the events that had unfolded lingered just out of reach, waiting for. As I finally settled in, a profound silence enveloped me, the weight of my unvoiced thoughts lingering heavily in the atmosphere. With a heavy heart, I turned and left the room, each step measured as I wrestled with my emotions. Progressing ahead, is it possible to restore trust? To assemble the tumult that whirled within my thoughts, the sound of him adjusting on the couch resonated in the stillness. I fought against the impulse to look back while I made my way down the dimly lit hallway, the weight of the harsh truth pressing down on me. What just unfolded enveloped me, my body vibrated with energy, every sensation alive, coursing through me like electricity, yet my thoughts spiraled in a tempest of guilt and bewilderment. What had I just experienced? A shiver coursed down my spine as I came to the startling realization that I had crossed a threshold I had never known existed, enveloped by a profound sense. A wave of unease enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for words to articulate the profound nature of this feeling. The surge of adrenaline surges, a thrilling current racing through every vein, igniting a profound connection within the soul, yet beneath it all lies a deep-seated unease, coiled and waiting. In my stomach, a weight clung tightly, an unyielding presence that refused to dissipate. It felt both right and wrong, a paradox swirling within me. My mind, elusive and impossible to define, surged with an unstoppable force through my body. Propulsion of excitement surged within, dismissing any consideration of the repercussions that awaited as the intensity of the moment faded. I discovered myself ensnared in an unyielding cycle, endlessly revisiting each detail in my thoughts. The intensity of his gaze, the electric charge of his body responding to my presence, as if it were an instinctive reaction, reflected my every action with unwavering certainty. The fervor of it all was tangible, and maybe that was what the experience was rendered truly extraordinary. It was a sensation unlike anything I had ever encountered. Leaning, pressed against the frigid wall of the shadowy corridor, I closed my eyes with determination, struggling to calm my uneven breaths as I wrestled with the burden of my guilt lingered, yet a part of me longed to relive it. Each heartbeat resonated with the thrill of what had unfolded, igniting an unquenchable desire within me as I stood there. A deep sense of urgency enveloped me, driving me to pursue the clarity I so desperately sought. I found myself wrestling with a lingering shadow. The question lingered, was what I had done truly acceptable? Had I erred in my judgment? Should I feel remorse for this moment I had created? As I made my way back to the room, my heart pounded in my chest, a tempest of emotions swirling within me, leaving me in a state of uncertainty of my next move. Yet one truth remained undeniable: this night would be forever etched in my memory. Endures, regardless of the conclusions I arrived at, regardless of the emotions that swirled within me. It would linger, haunting my thoughts like a shadow that refused to fade, as I pondered a question that nagged at me. Was this? Indeed, it was the path I had to discover, for I could not be the only spirit wandering in search of purpose. Who had ever encountered this deep sensation?